Alright guys, today we've got two Cummins p2500i generators. One of the reasons I chose these generators was their capability for paralleling, and that they weigh, they're pretty lightweight. I think it says on the box here that they are 48 pounds empty. They hold a gallon of fuel, so you've got to add that back to the weight. But generators are real reasonable. I've had a bunch of inverters. You know, one of the things is I find with the inverter generators is, you know, to run a camper and run both airs and go the full 50 amp, you're going to get into a 6,000 or 7,000 watt inverter, and it's going to weigh over 200 pounds. So what I'm trying to do is I wanted to test these two 2500i's and see if they'll pull both air conditioners, which you can actually order, which I've done. You can order the 50 amp parallel kit for the 4500s and use them on the 2500s. Now each one has its own circuit protection, so you're good to do that. Just that 50 amp costs a little bit more, but you don't have to use an adapter either. So usually the 2500s will come with a 30 amp parallel and the 4500s will come with a 50 amp. Now I do have a set of 4500s on order, and I will get my full 50 amps out of those, so I know we can run both airs. But those generators are a little heavier, so I want to see what kind of load percentage we get on these and how well they pull both air conditioners, or if they'll pull both air conditioners parallel. So we'll go ahead and start opening these up today. Sorry, I'm a little out of breath. Carried both of these over here. Packed very nicely. Boxes are very sturdy. Of course, first thing at the top, we've got an operator manual. We've got the startup procedure, fueling, put the oil in, all that good stuff. Comes with a nice little funnel here at the top, looks like. We're adding the oil. And we've got, I think it's like 11 ounces on these if I remember right. Wow. They even send a 0.37 quart. This is for the capacity. So it's good to go right off the bat with how much you're gonna need. And put that whole thing in. Looks like we got a spark plug, wrench, and a Phillips screwdriver. The toolkit that comes with it. Set all this out of the way for now. All right. Like I said, it's packaged very nicely. It's a nice box. Get this out of the way. Nice, very lightweight gen set. The other reason I do like these, they are inverter. It's got some USB ports on the front. It's got a nice display, shows you the amount of available runtime, shows the amount of fuel. We'll show you all that here in just a little bit. It's got the parallel. It's also got some USB port chargers. It's got a nice rubber pad on top, set your phone or anything you're charging. Go ahead and unpack this other one. These feel like they're pretty good quality gen sets. Lightweight. I mean, these will be the ticket if they will pull both of those air conditioners. You know, I can tell you a 15,000 BTU air conditioner is going to pull somewhere around 15 amps, but I think you're probably going to be close to 21 on startup. So these generators are good for 20 amps a piece. So I think even if they were both kicking on at the same time, which is probably rare, but I think it would almost handle it because you're 20 amps a piece, so we're sitting right at 40 amps. So we'll have to test it out and see how it does. All right, first thing, let's get the oil in them. Got a nice little cover here. Okay, so in my area, we cannot get ethanol-free fuel, or it's just not available to us. So this is 91 octane, fresh gas, but I put stable storage and everything, especially in the generators. I know we shut the fuel valve off and we let them run out of fuel, but that ethanol fuel does terrible things to generators and carburetors. Okay, so it looks like we are, I think it's 2.5 ounces to the gallon. 1 ounce treats 2.5 gallons. So we're going to be 2 ounces. Treat this. Alright, so we got gas in them, we've got oil in them. They're probably not perfectly topped off. We're going to run them a little bit. So let's take these things outside and let's get them started up and see what they sound like. This is the eco mode right here. Just make sure that's off. We've got a, looks like a 12-volt cigarette lighter there. We've got 2 USB ports. This is 2.1 amp and a 1 amp. This is your parallel. And then of course we got your standard outlets right here. This is the display right here. It's got a low level, an overload, and a output ready, a green light for if everything's good. So let's go ahead and start one of them up. First pull. About 73 decibels. Okay, so this is what the 50 amp parallel kit looks like that comes with the generators. It's got 2 pigtails. And all we do here is the red goes on the left according to the instructions. Black goes on the right. Same thing here. Red on the left, black on the right. Alright, and then we have one little brown wire we've got to hook up right down here. Alright, so we have the camper inside the shop. I've got the heaters on today because it's about 45 outside, so trying to get it warmed up in there so we can run both air conditioners and see how these load test. I've got the 50 amp cable hooked up, parallel kit, going inside the shop. So we'll set a camera up on these. I'm gonna go ahead and fire these up and let them warm up for a little bit, and while the shop's warming up inside, and then we'll go ahead and put a load to them and see how they handle both air conditioners. All right, so we have the gen sets running outside. They're both pulling about 910 watts a piece. That's just for your refrigerator, your inverter, all that stuff. I've got a feeling we'll be able to run the main air and everything, no problems, but I got a feeling when the second air kicks on, it'll probably kick them into overload. Just thinking about the amperage on them, and the only thing I think that we may be able to resolve that will be with soft starts. And I may get some of those ordered and put some soft starts on these ears just to see how they do, but got the thermostat right here. Go ahead and put it on cool. And then let's go out and take a look at the generator. Let's see how they handle the load. So I know you can't see the screen on them, but running about 50% if you look at the load meter on the right hand side. And it says right now we're pulling about 1,500 watts out of each unit. One says 1,540, one says 1,500. So right now with the main air on, the refrigerator and all that, looks like we're pulling a total of 3,000 watts. Let that level out for a second, and then we'll try to run the second air conditioner. Alright, so right now we're running right at 3,000 watts. We've got both of the 2500 generators parallel, and you know, everything seems to be running good. Like I said, 3,000 watts for the fridge, the one AC unit, basically the inverter and everything else. I don't think we'll quite have enough of that second air. We're going to try it here in just a sec. But, you know, the one thing about those generator sets is they do have a 1 gallon tank. So if I was running at this condition with them parallel, I'm looking at probably they're showing about 3.4 hours of runtime. Now, of course, if your air compressor cycle's off, that runtime is going to get longer. But just with them holding a gallon of gas, you're going to have to fill them up about every 3.5 hours right now. With the load pulling 15,000 BTU AC. You know, if your camper's got one AC in it, this is a great setup. Start the second air conditioner. We'll go up here in the front. All right, and then the fan just kicked on. Alright, so we're running both units. It did kick on both those ACs, but it was pretty tight. I mean, they were at 100%. It might have thrown the overload. I mean, just depending. It's nice and cool outside, so if it's a nice hot day, you know, you've got hot air going in the generators, they may not do it. You know, I feel like if you put soft starts on both these units, it would not be a problem to run a 15,000. I guess the other one's a 12,000 BTU. I don't think you'd have any issues. I was very surprised that they started both of these. They both show that they're pulling about, like I said, about 2,200 watts each, so they're pretty much loaded up. I guess one of the biggest concerns is you got about 2 hours and 45 minutes of runtime on 1 gallon of gas in each one of those units. So, and they're ramped up. You know, these inverters are, you know, you really want to run an inverter at 50% load, and that's where you get the quiet and all those things. These are pretty quiet when you're not pulling a huge load on them. You know, if I'm pulling one air conditioner, man, they're super quiet. You know, sitting at 50% load, they're not too bad. But you know, right now they're ramped up at 100%, so they're running wide open. I mean, they're not extremely noisy. I mean, I think they're quieter than like your standard generator you could go buy that was a 4,000 or 5,000 watt that'd be wrapped out. Like I said, I think your con is it's just your run time's only going to be 2 hours and 45 minutes. So you're going to have to refuel pretty often. You know, I do have a set of 4500s. We're going to pair those up with the same cables. They're supposed to be in, I think, this week. And, you know, you're going to look at maybe being 35% load on those, so they're going to be much quieter. You know, I think those hold almost 3 gallons of fuel. You know, you're probably going to be looking at closer to 7-8 hours of runtime, if I'm guessing. And you're going to be a lot lower on the RPM, so they're going to be a lot quieter. So, but those generators also weigh almost twice as much as the 2500s. So, you know, it's still you can still handle those generators because they're right at 100 pounds. You know, these are right at 50 pounds, so they're pretty light. They're easy to move around. So I would say if you had one air conditioner in a camper, I really like the paralleling those, you know, and you're going to get a little bit more runtime. We would say about 3 hours and 45 minutes running the one air conditioner. So it's all depending on what size and how heavy of a generator you want to carry. But just wanted to do this video just to kind of show how they handle it. We'll go back out. Excuse me. We'll go back out and take a look at those and just kind of show you the run times. I'll walk through it one more time while they're running outside. But they do pull the camper. We're pulling pretty much everything. Now I know if you throw the microwave on right now, you're gonna overload them. You know, so you're right up against that. You're running 95% load on them, so it just is what it is. But very impressed that they pulled it. I really like the generators. They feel like they're good quality build. They're pretty quiet if you're not running them above 40-50%. So anyway, let's go out and take a look at the generators. And I'm probably about 15 feet away from them. I could have a conversation with somebody right here. I do have to speak up a little bit. It's not terrible. This is the front side. Of course, you come around the back side, the exhaust side. Definitely much louder back here. Yeah, I'm showing about 3 hours and 15 minutes of run time with the current load. Showing about 1,700 watts. Just want to say thanks for watching the video. If you got time, please hit that follow, like, and subscribe down the bottom right hand corner. Hopefully we'll get the 2500 in a couple weeks, and we'll do the same test and show you what that looks like. I'm also going to order some soft starts for those air conditioners to give you a comparison. That shouldn't change your run time, but how they start and they engage. So we'll see how that does. And you can see that I'm running the one, right now I'm running the one, I guess it's a 12,000 BTU air conditioner on the front. It looks like we're up to almost 4 hours of run time. So if you've got a smaller AC on your RV and you parallel them, they're actually quiet. So if you're running right at 50% load, it's not a lot of noise. So thanks again for watching. Catch you on the next video.